Thank you. Thank you, Acting Attorney General. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I want to talk about the ATS National Tracing Center, which you know is located in Martinsburg, West Virginia. I think this is a stunning statistic for people to realize that in fiscal year 2024 alone, the National Tracing Center processed more than 600,000 requests. I mean, that is an immense amount of work. It also helped to identify the deranged individual who attempted to assassinate President Trump in Pennsylvania. So obviously, it's great work out there, but I am concerned that we have to prevent the release of firearm trace data to anyone other than law enforcement for investigative purposes. Can you elaborate on the importance of the NTC, but also how it functions within the ATF? And can you describe how your budget request will sustain these critical services?
Yes, of course, Senator, and I agree with you. It is an extraordinarily valuable law enforcement tool, but it can be abused. And so what the ATF has to make sure we're doing is we're using the tracing data. And by the way, it's not just for federal cases, it's for state and local cases, it's for local crimes, and so it's a true testament of the power of the federal government to help the states. We have to make sure that that data is shared only where it needs to be shared and only to further law enforcement investigations. Our Director Cicada is laser focused on that. We have the benefit of having somebody who's been an ATF agent for 2 decades, and so we'll continue to make sure that not only we're spending the money to make sure that we're successful, but also making sure that we have guardrails around it so that it doesn't get abused either by ATF or by anybody state and local wise.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I want to talk about the HIDTA task force collaboration. I know DOJ is a valuable member of the HIDTA task force, and honestly, we had the ONDCP director, Sarah Carter, came to West Virginia a few weeks ago. We had a roundtable. U.S. attorneys were there, local partners, local law enforcement. Very interesting conversation. I personally want to see the high-intensity drug trafficking and the HIDTA program stay within the White House. I know this may not be a decision that you're actively involved in, or because there's always, through several administrations, a desire to move it over to DOJ. Do you have any perspectives on that, and what does this budget have to say about it?
Look, I know that President Trump is going to give a ton of money, I think over $11.4 billion to combat the drug crisis, and that includes a lot of money to HIDTA. The way that it's running through the ONDCP now, as opposed to directly to DOJ, doesn't make a difference to the effectiveness that we can have to run these programs. It hasn't made a difference over the past year. It will not make a difference in the coming years. To the contrary, remember, another big part of the drug fight is DHS and HSI, and so one benefit of having it go through kind of a one higher place is that we make sure we're spending the money across the federal government in the ways that is smart. So I have had zero issues with that setup, and I don't think Administrator Cole has had any issues with it or any of other law enforcement.
I mean, personally, I think the issue is so large, and you heard Senator Gillibrand talking about it in New York. Our state has a particular issue, and I am so pleased with the President's southern border initiatives. Fentanyl seizures are down, meaning less fentanyl into the country, but it's just such a devastating and terrifying drug that's killing too many people.
Yes.
I did want to I noticed in your opening statement you made a comment about the Bureau of Prisons. I just had a conversation with my fellow West Virginian, Billy Marshall, who's head of the BOP. I am in full support of the $10 billion request that you've made. He's made great strides there in getting good leadership, and they're safer. We have several federal prisons in and around West Virginia, and not only are the staff safer, but the inmates are safer as well. And I would encourage you to keep pounding that drum.
We will. Thank you, Senator.
Let me ask you a question in the last few minutes that I have. There's a few seconds. All right, geez. There's always a headline about Assistant Attorney General leaves DOJ, and it sounds, like it's a political statement rather than, or a lack of confidence statement, or doesn't like the way the direction that the department is going. And I know you see this, the public reports. Isn't this the way it's always been at DOJ, people moving in and out, and you yourself were at DOJ at one point before you went into private practice. I didn't know if you wanted to talk about, at the upper echelons of your leadership team, where you see this going, and is it a political statement, or is it the cost of doing business and
Look,
ebb and flow of workforce?
I think we have a great team, and not only at DOJ, but President Trump's entire administration. That necessarily means that sometimes people come in and sometimes people leave. I was a federal prosecutor until I had no money left, and I had to go to the private sector. And I think there's pressures on family, and there's so. It's not a political statement. I think the president has assembled a phenomenal cabinet, and the cabinet has then assembled leadership that I think is every day working hard to fulfill the president's agenda, and when it comes to DOJ, to make America safe again. And so my team that works at DOJ, some of them will stay for 4 years, and some of them will probably leave in the next month or two, and that's natural. And all we can do is thank them for their public service and to keep on hiring great people.
Thank you for your service. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Support journalism you trust. Support PBS News. Donate now, or even better, start a monthly contribution today.